Alex walked into the apartment, dragging his suitcase behind him. The hallway smelled faintly of ozone and something floral that he could not place. The city was silent, empty streets stretching beyond the windows, a strange calm that felt almost wrong. The lockdown had been announced 3 days ago, and Alex's assignment had changed at the last minute. Instead of returning home to his family, he would be sharing a small research apartment with a new roommate from a distant planet. Lyra, the alien diplomat, was already there, standing by the window. She looked at him with large eyes that reflected the pale city lights. Her skin had a soft blue tint, her hair shimmered faintly in the dim light, and her movements were graceful but slightly hesitant. Alex could not help staring for a moment. It was one thing to know that humans now lived among aliens in shared spaces. It was another to experience it firsthand. "Hello?" Alex said, forcing a smile. "I'm Alex, you must be Lyra." "Yes," she replied, her voice melodic, almost musical. "I am Lyra of Zithera, welcome." Her words had a slight accent that Alex could not identify. "The quarantine rules require us to remain indoors until the lockdown lifts. We must cooperate fully." Alex nodded, feeling the weight of the situation. The city had been silent for days, news channels repeating warnings, health alerts, and travel restrictions. But now, in this small apartment, he would not only be responsible for himself but for an alien roommate. Lyra turned and gestured to the living area. "Your space is over there." She indicated a small bedroom that looked barely bigger than a closet. "I hope it is sufficient." "It's fine," Alex said, placing his bag on the floor. "I'm used to small spaces." Lyra inclined her head. "Good. Then we can begin our shared existence peacefully." The first evening was awkward. Alex tried to start a conversation, asking about Lyra's planet, her work, and her experiences traveling among humans. She answered politely, carefully, with words that were precise but often distant. Alex sensed that she was holding back, as if she had secrets that could not be shared. After dinner, Lyra excused herself. Alex noticed a slight hesitation in her movements, almost like she was uncomfortable, but he did not comment. Instead, he returned to his laptop, attempting to ignore the unfamiliar energy that seemed to hum in the room. It was subtle, a faint warmth that he could feel without understanding. That night, Alex lay awake listening to the city beyond the thick glass. He could hear nothing but the soft hum of the building's life support systems. And then a strange sound reached him from Lyra's room. It was soft, almost like a sigh, but different, alien, rhythmic. Alex frowned. He wondered if she was having trouble adjusting to the apartment, or if it was something else entirely. The next morning, he found Lyra in the kitchen, preparing breakfast. The smell was unfamiliar, spicy, sweet, and slightly metallic, but it was pleasant. "Good morning," Alex said. "I didn't hear you last night." "I was adjusting my biological cycles," Lyra said simply. She did not elaborate. Alex blinked. "Biological cycles?" Lyra nodded. "Yes. My species experiences heightened sensitivity at certain times. It is natural." Alex was not sure how to respond. He had read reports about alien biology, about species that had emotional and physical cycles unlike humans, but it was still strange to hear it described so plainly. "I see," he said carefully. "Do you need space?" "Yes," she replied, and understanding. "You will see that I am different. It is temporary." Over the next few days, Alex learned that Lyra's cycles were unpredictable and sometimes intense. She would spend hours in her room, meditating, pacing, or moving carefully around the apartment. She emitted a faint hum of energy that he could sense in the air, something that was neither good nor bad but unmistakably present. At first, Alex tried to ignore it. He focused on his work, reading data sheets, running simulations, and keeping busy. But it became harder to ignore as the days passed. Lyra's energy filled the apartment in ways that were difficult to describe. There were moments when she would approach him, asking questions about Earth customs, human food, or city news, and he could feel a closeness in her presence that made his heart race. One evening, the tension reached a subtle peak. Lyra had been pacing, softly humming, when she suddenly froze and looked at him. "Alex," she said, "I believe my cycle has begun. It is stronger than I expected." Alex swallowed. He had read about her species' heat phases but had not imagined it so vividly. She did not seem dangerous, only overwhelmed, and he realized that she might need his help, not in a romantic way but in a supportive, human way. "I can help," he said, trying to keep his voice calm. Tell me what you need. Lyra tilted her head, studying him. I do not know all the customs of your species, but I need reassurance, safety, emotional support, and distance at times, Alex nodded. I understand. We can do that. Over the next week, they developed a rhythm. Alex learned to give her space when necessary, to bring her small comforts like warm beverages or soft blankets, and to listen when she spoke about her thoughts and fears. Lyra, in turn, began to trust him. She shared stories about her planet, her family, and the role she had been sent to play as a diplomat. Alex found himself fascinated, not just by her alien nature, but by her perspective on the universe. One night, a storm hit the city. Rain lashed against the windows, wind rattling the walls. Lyra, who had been pacing, stopped and looked out at the sky. On Zythera, storms are different, she said softly. They do not frighten us. They are part of life. Alex joined her at the window. I've never been anywhere like that, he said. Earth storms feel harsh, unforgiving. Lyra turned to him. Perhaps it is how you perceive them. Humans fear what they do not understand, but fear can be controlled. Emotions can be shared. They can bring connection. Alex realized that she was speaking not just about storms, but about their situation. The lockdown, the confined apartment, the unfamiliarity of living with someone from another world. All of it was a storm. And yet there was a strange calm in their shared presence. For the first time, Alex felt a flicker of hope. Perhaps he and Lyra could survive the lockdown together, not just by tolerating each other, but by learning from one another. The day before Lyra's cycle peaked, she approached him with a small device. This will help stabilize my emotions during the strongest phase, she explained. It requires careful calibration. Will you assist me? Alex hesitated. I think I can. Show me how. They spent the afternoon together, adjusting settings, monitoring her responses, and learning the limits of her physiology. It was tedious, careful work, but it brought them closer. Alex saw her vulnerability, her trust, and her quiet strength. Lyra saw his patience, his curiosity, and his willingness to understand something entirely foreign. As night fell, the rain outside softened to a gentle patter. Lyra reclined on the couch, exhausted but calm. Alex sat beside her, offering quiet support. He could feel the energy in the room, subtle and shifting, but it was no longer intimidating. It was a bond forming, delicate but real. Then Lyra looked at him, her eyes wide and almost human in their emotion. Alex, she whispered, thank you. You do not know how much this means. Alex smiled, unsure how to respond. Words felt inadequate. Instead, he simply nodded. We're in this together, he said. The storm outside had ended. The city was silent again and the lockdown continued. But inside the small apartment, two very different beings were beginning to understand one another, building a connection that was stronger than fear or distance. And as Lyra drifted into a tentative sleep, Alex knew that the next days would be challenging. Her cycle would intensify, the lockdown would persist, and their bond would be tested. But he also knew that for the first time he felt ready to face it, because some storms, whether in the sky or in life, were meant to be faced together. The next morning, the apartment felt different. The air was heavier, charged with a tension that Alex could not ignore. Lyra had barely slept, and her movements were sharper, more restless. The energy in the room had shifted, subtle yet unmistakable. Alex sensed that her cycle was reaching its peak. Good morning, Alex said carefully, bringing a cup of warm liquid to her. How are you feeling today? Lyra accepted the cup with a nod, her eyes reflecting fatigue and unease. The cycle is stronger now. My control over it diminishes. I must rely on guidance and patience. Alex set the cup down and took a deep breath. He had read about other species with similar cycles, but experiencing it firsthand was different. He realized that it was not just physical, it was mental, emotional, and sometimes overwhelming. He would need all his focus, empathy, and creativity to help her through it. For the first hour, they moved carefully through the morning. Alex prepared simple meals, adjusted the apartment temperature, and ensured Lyra had everything she might need within reach. Lyra paced intermittently, emitting soft hums of energy that vibrated slightly in the walls and floor. Alex could feel it, not unpleasant, but intense. You do not seem uncomfortable, Lyra said at one point, noticing his calm demeanor. Most humans find this overwhelming. I've learned to adapt, Alex replied. It's not easy, but I can do it. I want to help. Her gaze softened, and for a moment she seemed almost vulnerable in a way Alex had not seen before. It was not fear or anger, it was trust. She was placing her well-being in his hands, something he did not take lightly. By midday, Lyra's energy levels surged. She moved more rapidly, her hums growing louder, and her pacing became a rhythmic, almost urgent dance across the apartment. Alex realized that he would need to introduce more structure to help her channel her energy. "Lyra," he said gently, "can we try something? I want to help you manage this energy. We'll do small tasks, step by step. It will help you feel steady." Lyra hesitated, then nodded. "I will trust your guidance." They spent the next hour performing small activities, sorting data, preparing supplies, and even light cleaning. Each task was simple, yet the combination provided a framework that allowed Lyra to focus. Her movements slowed, her hums softened, and she occasionally glanced at Alex with a mix of appreciation and curiosity. During a brief pause, Lyra sat on the couch, breathing heavily, but calmer. "Your species values structure and routine," she said. "I did not understand it fully until now. It helps me," Alex smiled. "Sometimes routine is what keeps people grounded. It gives the mind something to focus on, especially during stressful times." Lyra's eyes studied him closely. "Your species adapts well. I expected humans to be chaotic in confined spaces." Alex shrugged. "We can be, but we also find ways to survive. That's what matters." The afternoon brought a different challenge. A sudden power surge in the building caused lights to flicker and the temperature to drop. Lyra's reactions were immediate. Her pacing became frantic, her hums rising in pitch. Alex realized that the change in environment was affecting her cycle, making it harder for her to maintain control. "Stay calm," Alex said, moving closer. "We can fix this. Let's go to the bedroom and adjust the backup systems." Lyra nodded, following him with a mixture of urgency and hesitation. Alex guided her to the small control panel, showing her how to stabilize the temperature and lighting. Together they worked in silence, hands occasionally brushing, neither speaking more than necessary. Once the systems were stable, Lyra leaned back against the wall, breathing heavily. "You help me even when it is difficult," she said. "Why do you care so much?" Alex thought for a moment. "Because you're not just my roommate. You're a person who needs help. And I want to be here for you. That's enough reason." Her gaze softened further, and for the first time, Alex felt the subtle warmth of connection beyond simple companionship. Lyra's vulnerability and trust were gifts she had given him, and he would not betray them. Evening arrived, bringing the quiet calm of a city still locked down. Lyra had moved to the couch, wrapped in blankets, her hums quieting to a soft vibration. Alex prepared a light dinner and placed it nearby, then sat on the floor beside her. "You are patient," Lyra said softly. "Most would not endure this. Most would leave or retreat. I have learned patience from my own life," Alex replied. "And I think it's worth it." Lyra looked at him, her eyes reflecting something almost human: gratitude, wonder, and perhaps a hint of admiration. "Your species has qualities I did not anticipate: strength, empathy, and resilience. You are extraordinary." Alex felt a warmth rise in his chest, not from the cold or the energy in the room, but from her words. They were sincere, thoughtful, and unexpected. For a brief moment, the barriers between human and alien felt less significant. The night brought another test. Lyra's cycle intensified beyond what Alex had experienced so far. She moved with a restless energy, sometimes pacing, sometimes sitting quietly, her breathing uneven. Alex stayed close, observing subtle changes, adjusting comfort systems, and offering quiet words of reassurance. "You are here," Lyra said at one point, her voice almost a whisper. "Even when it is difficult, you remain." "I promised," Alex said simply, "and I will continue to keep that promise." Lyra's hums shifted to a softer rhythm, and she leaned slightly toward him. The movement was instinctive, not deliberate, but it carried a weight that Alex understood. She was allowing him closer, sharing a space in her vulnerability that few could reach. Hours passed in this careful balance of proximity and distance. Alex monitored her needs, provided small comforts, and stayed attentive to her emotional state. Lyra's trust deepened, as did the subtle emotional connection between them. It was not romance yet, not in the human sense, but it was a bond built on empathy, understanding, and shared experience. As the night wore on, Lyra finally rested. Her breathing evened and her hums quieted to a soft vibration that was almost soothing. Alex sat nearby, exhausted but relieved. The day had been a test, one of patience, observation, and adaptability, and they had survived it together. In the quiet moments, Alex reflected on the strange reality of their situation. An alien roommate, a city in lockdown, and a cycle that brought challenges neither of them had fully anticipated. Yet in this confinement, they had discovered connection, trust, and mutual respect. Lyra stirred slightly and looked at him. "Alex, I am grateful, not just for what you have done, but for your presence. It matters more than I expected." Alex smiled softly. "We're in this together, and we'll get through it day by day." She inclined her head, her gaze lingering. "Day by day, yes. That is all we can do. Yet it feels significant," he nodded. "It is significant. Every moment counts. Every small action. Every bit of trust. That is what makes the difference." For the first time since the lockdown began, Alex felt a sense of hope. Not just for survival, but for something beyond it. A bond that transcended species. A connection forged through shared experience, empathy, and care. The night deepened, and the city remained silent. But inside the small apartment, two very different beings had begun to understand one another, forming a connection that was strong enough to endure challenges, differences, and the unknowns of life. Lyra's cycle would not last forever. The lockdown would eventually lift. But the lessons of patience, empathy, and trust would remain, shaping the beginnings of a relationship that could survive even the most unexpected circumstances. And as Alex watched Lyra drift into a calm rest, he realized that in the midst of confinement, challenges, and uncertainty, they had found something extraordinary. Not love yet, not fully, but a foundation of understanding and care that promised something greater in the days to come. Because some connections, no matter how strange, unexpected or alien, were meant to be nurtured, day by day, moment by moment, until they became something remarkable. The days passed slowly in the confined apartment, each one blending into the next. The city outside remained under lockdown, silent and empty. But inside, Alex and Lyra had developed a rhythm. Lyra's cycle was nearing its end, though the intensity still demanded careful attention. Alex had learned to read her subtle cues, changes in posture, soft hums, rapid breathing, and to respond with patience and care. Lyra sat on the couch one morning, wrapped in a blanket, her blue-tinted skin pale under the soft light. "Alex," she said quietly, "I believe my cycle is approaching its final stage. Soon I will regain full control." Alex nodded, sitting beside her. "You've done incredibly well. You've handled this better than I could have imagined. I'm proud of you." Lyra's eyes softened. "Your support, it has been remarkable. I did not expect a human to understand or assist so patiently." "It's easy to support someone when they trust you," Alex replied. "And when you let me in, I could see that you needed help. That's enough for me." Her gaze lingered on him, almost hesitant, as if weighing whether to say more. I have learned much from you," she said finally. "About humanity, resilience, patience. You have changed my perception." Alex felt a warmth in his chest. He had spent hours caring for her, monitoring her cycles, providing comfort, and yet her words touched him more deeply than he expected. It was not admiration in the usual sense, it was recognition, trust, and a connection that had grown stronger day by day. As the afternoon light filtered through the windows, Lyra's energy shifted. She moved with more focus, pacing less and humming softly in patterns that indicated she was stabilizing. Alex observed her carefully, ready to intervene if needed, but also giving her space. "You are calmer now," Alex said gently. "It seems the cycle is ending." "Yes," Lyra replied. "I feel balanced. It is relief." For the first time in several days, the apartment was quiet in a comfortable way. Alex prepared a small meal for them, and they ate together in silence, enjoying the simple human ritual. There was no awkwardness, no tension, only companionship and a subtle understanding between two very different beings. After dinner, Lyra moved to the living room, gesturing to Alex to sit beside her. "I wish to express gratitude properly," she said. "Your guidance, patience, and empathy have meant more than words can convey." Alex smiled. "You don't have to say anything. We've both learned a lot from each other." She tilted her head, her large eyes reflecting a mix of curiosity and quiet emotion. "Humans are capable of remarkable empathy. I underestimated it. Alex chuckled softly. You're not the first alien to say that. Lyra's eyes sparkled faintly. Perhaps. Yet this experience has shown me something extraordinary, that even in confinement, even in stress, humans and aliens can form bonds of trust and understanding. Alex nodded, feeling a subtle thrill of connection. That's what I hoped we could do. We've learned to rely on each other, even in the most unexpected circumstances. The following morning, the lockdown extended unexpectedly, and the city remained empty. Lyra's cycle had ended, leaving her more relaxed yet introspective. She spent the day reviewing her notes, organizing data, and occasionally glancing at Alex as if measuring his reaction to her presence. During a quiet moment, she spoke. Alex, I must return to my official duties soon. The Galactic Council requires my attention. Yet, I am hesitant to leave this apartment, this connection. I have found something significant here. Alex studied her carefully. Significant how? He asked gently. Her gaze softened and she hesitated. Trust, care, a bond that transcends differences. I did not anticipate feeling. Connected to a human so quickly, it is profound. Alex felt a pulse of warmth. I feel the same. You've become more than a roommate. You've become someone I care about and someone I respect deeply. For a long moment, they simply looked at each other, the apartment silent except for the soft hum of Lyra's residual energy. There was no rush, no pressure, only recognition of the bond they had formed in confinement. The next challenge came unexpectedly. A communication arrived from the Galactic Council, urgent and official, instructing Lyra to report immediately for a critical diplomatic mission. The timing was inconvenient yet unavoidable. Lyra's expression was conflicted. I must depart soon. My duties cannot be delayed. Yet, leaving now feels difficult, Alex nodded. I understand. Your responsibilities are important. But I hope, when you return, this connection we've built can continue. Lyra smiled faintly, a rare and subtle expression. It will continue. This bond is resilient. Even distance cannot break it entirely. Over the next few hours, they prepared for her departure. Alex assisted with her equipment, ensuring all systems were ready while Lyra meticulously packed her documents and devices. They moved with quiet efficiency, a comfortable familiarity replacing the initial awkwardness of their first days together. Before she left, Lyra turned to Alex. I wish to leave you with a reminder of this connection, a token of trust and memory. She handed him a small device glowing faintly. This will allow us to communicate securely across distances. It is not merely technology, it is a symbol that our bond endures. Alex accepted it, feeling a mix of gratitude and anticipation. Thank you. I will treasure it. Lyra inclined her head. And you. The transport ship arrived outside, a sleek silver craft that hummed with quiet power. Alex followed her to the airlock, watching as she prepared to depart. For a moment he felt a pang of emptiness, realizing how much her presence had grown to matter in just a short time. As she stepped into the transport, she turned back one last time. Alex, continue to be patient, empathetic, and resilient. These qualities are rare even among humans. They are remarkable. I will return and we shall continue our exploration of this connection. Alex nodded, his chest tight with emotion. I'll be here, day by day, moment by moment, and I'll be ready. The transport lifted, disappearing into the night sky, leaving the apartment quiet once again. Alex sat down, holding the device Lyra had given him. It glowed softly, a tangible reminder of the bond they had forged. In the days that followed, Alex continued his work, but the apartment no longer felt empty. Every message from Lyra, every shared observation or question reminded him of the trust and understanding they had built. The lockdown persisted, but it no longer felt confining. It felt like a space for growth, connection, and discovery. One evening, as Alex prepared a simple meal, a message arrived from Lyra. Her words were brief but filled with warmth. I am thinking of you. Our connection endures. Prepare for the day we meet again. Alex smiled, feeling a sense of hope and excitement he had never anticipated. The alien roommate who had once seemed distant, strange, and unknowable had become a partner in understanding, trust, and subtle affection. Their bond was not defined by romance alone, but by shared experience, care, and the resilience of connection. And as he looked out at the quiet city beyond the windows, Alex realized that the lockdown, the confinement, and the challenges had brought something extraordinary into his life. Not just survival, not just companionship, but a bond that transcended species, distance, and circumstance, a bond that was uniquely theirs. Because in the vastness of the galaxy, amidst rules, cycles, and challenges, some connections were meant to endure, some bonds were meant to teach patience, empathy, and trust, and some, like the one between Alex and Lyra, were meant to remind both humans and aliens that understanding and care could bridge even the most unimaginable differences. As night fell, Alex set the glowing device on the table and leaned back. He thought of Lyra, of the days they had shared, of the trust they had built. He knew the future would bring new challenges, her missions, new responsibilities, and the eventual end of the lockdown. But he also knew that whatever came next, their connection would remain, strong and enduring, a testament to the resilience of both species and the extraordinary potential of trust, empathy, and understanding. And somewhere in the galaxy, Lyra looked up at the stars, thinking of the human who had cared for her, guided her, and shared a bond that no distance, cycle, or challenge could ever truly break.